A very good afternoon and welcome to the guest, faculty members, and students. We are here in terms of hearing from one of the most renowned industry stalwart, Mr. Manav Subodh, who's the founder of 1M 1B and a former global ambassador at University of California, Berkeley, College of Engineering. With over 23 years of experience, Manav's passion is to leverage digital technologies to provide equal opportunities in education, skilling, and entrepreneurship to the young people of India. Today, Manav is leading the development of a future-ready technology workforce and is actively working on the school to work transition with support from the Indian government and several large corporations. Starting in the year 2018 through 2023, Manav and his team co-led with IBM along with Ministry of Education, Skills and Entrepreneurship, one of the largest AI workforce development initiatives across India, including implementation of AI skills modules and AI as an elective, available to 25,000 high schools across India. Prior to starting 1M 1B, Manav worked for organizations like Intel Corporation, EY, Hughes, and QAI. A series of events, including his experience with youth during the Arab Spring, inspired Manav to leave his corporate job at Intel Corporation and start 1M 1B in the year 2014. Manav's opinion articles on the creator economy, AI sustainability, youth skills, and metaverse are regularly published in India's leading publications. For his work with youth and rural communities, he has been featured on BBC, Forbes, TEDx, and others. He also convenes the annual 1M 1B summit at the UN headquarters in New York and have also presented at various UN conferences on topics such as young women as an economic force, rural entrepreneurship, decent jobs, and equal opportunities for young people. Sir, we are honored to have you on campus and we welcome you with a bouquet.
Sorry, I want you to give it to him. It's a bit heavy.
I request Mr. Manav Subodh to address the gathering.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to talk to all of you. I know it's not the best time. I heard the examinations are going on, so I know there's a lot of things going on here. But I hope this is a good break for you as we talk about something that is affecting the industry, and all of you will be joining the industry very soon. So all of you are MBA students here? Any BBA students? Anybody else? Entrepreneurship? Startups? Okay, good. So all MBA students. So you will be joining the industry very soon. Is that 1 year, 2 years? 2 years. 2 years? How many of you are in your final year? In your first year?
All of them, today's exam is for the first year.
for the first year? So all our first year students. So you still have about 2 years to join? 1 more year to join. Okay, good. So you have some time to prepare for something that I'm going to be talking about. Okay, I would like to keep this interactive. So if there are questions, please get them coming. It's important that we respond to some of the doubts that you may have, some of the things that you might hear, but you're not sure what's happening in the industry. So I can talk a lot about some of the stuff from my perspective. But what I'm going to be talking about is this new normal. When I see or hear the word new normal, I get a little overwhelmed. Say, what is the new normal? But we are experiencing a lot of shifts. And I'm going to be talking about some of those shifts. And in the end, I have 3 tips to give it to you, which can hopefully help you as you prepare for the industry in the next 1 year and enter the workforce. But one of the biggest normals that is happening is you need to get ready for your digital twin. Have you heard about that? How many have heard about the digital twin? Students? So please research on the digital twin, and I'm going to be talking a bit about it, but it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. What is the new normal? We all talk about technology making a dent in the universe. We all talk about metaverse. How many have heard about metaverse? Good. So we are experiencing the 3D internet. 3D internet is going to be hitting us very soon. We're talking about immersive technologies. That is hitting us soon. The industry is shifting towards a 3D internet. So this meeting we are having face-to-face, but the same meeting we could be having in a virtual space and all of us experiencing each other like what we are experiencing right now. But let me tell you an extreme form of new normal, and I found this little hilarious, but it drives the point. Is this the new normal? Let's look at how immersive technologies is affecting animals. And I saw this article and I found this very amusing, where a rancher is using VR glasses for the cows to give them an emotional boost. Because this rancher is in a cold place and they don't see the sun for a long time. So the VR glasses on the cow makes the cow experience the sun as if you're in a very sunny place and gives that emotional boost for more milk. Can you believe it? Is this the new normal? This is happening. And this is real. This is happening now as we speak. Metaverse, immersive technologies, AR, VR are going to be changing the way we interact and talk to each other. The way we conduct ourselves in office meetings. Zoom meetings probably will go 3D. We're talking about already people in the gym, people having dance parties in the virtual space, and all of us saw that in bits and pieces during the COVID lockdown. There are concerts happening online now. So I'm going to be talk about all that and hopefully simplify it for you and crystallize it on how you can use all this is happening. And what do you need to do beyond the university to make yourself relevant for the workforce, for this new future that is coming right now. So a bit about me. There was a fantastic introduction, but I belong to the corporate sector. I worked there for 17 years in Intel, Ernst & Young, and a few other organizations. And the picture out there at the bottom is with the Intel CEO, and we ran a program called Intel Make It Wearable technologies. And this was like 10 years back, where Intel was anticipating wearable technology is going to be taking over the market, which it has now. And we ran an entrepreneurship accelerator, and launched a few companies at the Consumer Electronics Show at Las Vegas. And this was my last assignment at Intel. And this encouraged me to really see what we can do with the entrepreneurial mindset and the education and get that to India. Get that to the villages of India, get that to the young people of India, and that has been my work for the last 9 years now. I quit my job at Intel, started purpose-driven organization that I call 1M1B, 1 million for 1 billion, with a bold vision that we want to activate a million of you, a million young people out there like you, who are going to create impact for a billion people. So that means, what if all of you become problem solvers? All of you become creators, not consumers of technology. And that's the vision. And I work with AICT, I work with CBSE, I work with IBM, Meta, other multinational corporation, to get that thinking into our classrooms so that we can churn out not just graduates, but problem solvers. So that's my work. I travel the world. I convene an event at the United Nations. In fact, on 30th November, we are one of the only organizations from India which regularly takes young people like you and gives them opportunity right at the United Nations, because we believe people like you cannot wait. We don't want you to be in your 40s when you become CEOs or leaders. Like, there's a whole parallel, there's a thinking, there's a mindset that, you have to climb the corporate ladder, and it's slow and steady and slow and steady. But if you have the talent right now and you can hold conversation with diplomats and senior leaders, why not now? So that's what we do. We give opportunities to young people not to go through the beaten path, as I call it, because I followed that. I followed the corporate treadmill. And of course, that's important. It's important to get that corporate exposure. But what we all need, even in a large corporation today, is problem solvers. Problem solvers does not mean entrepreneurship only or startups only. Of course, that's a big component of it. You need corporate entrepreneurs today. And as you prepare for the industry, one of the things that I want you to really look at is, how can you take problem solving as a big skill? Because that skill is the highest in demand today. We need problem solvers. AI cannot take those jobs away. Problem solving, AI cannot do it. Of course, it can do a lot of repetitive tasks, but a lot of stuff, if you're talking about, so you're going to be entering the workforce, and how do you navigate all these changes is something that I'm going to be talking about. So that's what 1M1B is. A million people activating a billion people to create a sustainable world. We are looking at, look at the challenges that you are having right now. Climate crisis, bigger one. Digital access, big one. Education, big one. Skilling, big one. Young people not employed, really big. What if you become, instead of saying, oh, I'm not going to start up my own nonprofit or startup, just become a problem solver. You become an organization yourself. And if you get that thinking that I am the organization, I am the brand, and that brand's work for a big company, you will be super successful because it's you as brand. And I want all of you to think about, what are you doing to invest in your brand? That is me. That will probably work for large corporation. That might work for government. That might work for big consulting firms, banking, whatever. Wherever you go, multilaterals. But think about you as a brand which is solving a big problem. So that's what 1M1B is. So what we are doing is accelerating India's future-ready digital workforce. And digital does not mean engineering. Digital means all of us. Digital is for everybody. You cannot get away from digital anymore. So what are the digital skills you need to be successful is important. Even if you are marketeers, if you are a finance major, you need to be having digital skills to be successful. Because those are the people who will have jobs, who will be required in the industry. So digital skills is very important, and my organization focuses a lot on building digital capabilities and digital skills to solve problems. So digital skills, problem solvers. Look at how you can take those two vectors and put that in your own brand. This is something that we have been doing. So just want to make sure we first, I'm talking with facts, because this what I'm going to be talking about has been happening with so many young people. And the 3 tips I'm going to be sharing with you is after all the 9 years of work that we have done with about 125,000 teachers that we have trained across India, we have about 150 people like you, change makers like you, who have been given opportunities to talk at the United Nations. There have been about 334,000 students like you who have been undergoing various programs that we have been driving with the government, within the school education system, within the university education system, and even outside. And we are present in about 3,000 plus schools and universities, and also offering the same to the villages of India. So something that I really believe in is that if we're talking about equalizer, education as an equalizer, skills as an equalizer, we need to talk about it and offer the same education and skilling everywhere. So the talk that I'm having you right now, I have different colleagues who also have this talk with people in rural areas as well. So that's what we do. And I'm going to be talking about why you should care about this. So let's look at where we are right now. 468 million people in the workforce today in India. 92% of them in informal jobs. What does informal jobs mean? Informal jobs mean that they don't have a regular pay. Contract workers, informal workers. So 92% of that is informal. They may not have a medical insurance. They may not have a provident fund. Skilling is a huge issue in India, and this includes even students on MBA and engineers. The highest unemployment is happening from engineering and students who are coming out with degrees, but they don't have skills. So how do you distinguish your degree with the skill? Education with the skill is important. And as you gather credibility of a fantastic degree from your MBA school here, you need to also think of what skills am I building so that somebody will get me inside. The jobs that you will get is not just based on your degree. Of course, that is important, very, very important to give you the credentials, to give you the foundation. But what skills are you building is very important, because that's a skill deficit that we are facing today. We have a huge issue in the amount of pay that is being happening. So, I tell a lot of young people who say, I want a career like this. I said, okay, that's fine. Some people say, I want to become a musician. Fantastic, go, please. But do you know how to monetize that skill? If you know, please go ahead. Is that your passion? Is that your hobby? Or is that your monetizable skill? And you need to think about that. A lot of people say, I love photography, want a career on that. Fantastic, please go ahead. But look at how do you monetize that? Or do you want to monetize at all? Some people don't want to monetize. They just want a name for themselves. Fantastic. Do whatever you're doing, but you should be aware why you're doing it. And if you take a career, make sure that you have your financials in mind. What kind of starting salary you're looking at? Just don't assume that one day placement happens and they will offer you and you will take it. No, you should be having a discussion. No, I'm not going to work for this salary because these are skills that I have and this is what I can bring to the table. If you have those conversations with the HR managers who are going to be coming here and you're going to be meeting them in a year, that makes you credible. So look at that. How can you monetize your skill sets? And if you're talking about monetizing skill set, I can give you some areas that are good to monetize. Okay? Here is a big one. Now let's look at the revolution that is happening in the new normal. The growth of not just AI, but also augmented reality and virtual reality. This market is going to boom. And any of you who are in the creative field, this is an opportunity for you. Because I know a lot of studios like Universal, Disney, all of them are going to be coming to India in the next 10 years. AVGC, have you heard of this term, AVGC? Anybody heard? Yes. AVGC is a big focus today because all these big studios are going to be opening up shops in India. So it's not going to be just the technology outsourcing job, but we are going to be creating technology. We're going to be creating movies. They're going to be Netflix production getting produced. Like, it's already happening, right? If you look at Red Chilies, that's big. And that's a huge opportunity for management students and people who have creativity and management together as a skill set. So look at the growth that is happening in this area. Metaverse is coming. So I was in a conference, at a Metaverse conference in LA just 2 months back, and people were talking about, is Metaverse going to happen, not going to happen, and there were debates. Some people think that Metaverse is not going to happen. Well, the reality is, when will it happen? It's going to happen. It's not happening probably in the next 2 years, but it's happening in the next 10 years for sure or earlier. So how are you preparing for the Metaverse? AR, VR is the basic skill you need to tap into the Metaverse. And that's important because look at the number of jobs that are coming up. And whenever you're looking at, a surplus and a demand and you have to look at where can you monetize your skill set. Because if you are there in the industry where talent is scarce, there's no talent, you have a big opportunity. So as you figure out your career maps, look at what industry you want to really go after and build those skill sets right now. Because management will give you a horizontal skill, which is very important, which I am an MBA and I love it. But you have to keep on acquiring and upskilling and getting new skill sets, which gets you there in the game. So that's a big one. That's my favorite. The gig economy, the rise of the freelancer movement. How many of you already know YouTubers who are making money without a degree? Massive. Massive. And that's the new normal. Probably a lot of people will say, I don't need a formal job. I want to work in my own space at my own time from a location I want because I'm in part of this virtual gig economy. So the gig workforce is going to rise. US, we already see that happening. People don't want to work for formal jobs. They don't want a 9 to 5 at all. And we are already seeing that struggle in India because after the lockdown, people don't want to come back to office. They think they are productive. They think they can do it, and there's mixed views to it. I have a mixed view to it, depending on the kind of work you're doing. But the reality is that virtual workforce will be huge. Now, if you're talking about a virtual workforce, it's already happening. When I used to work in Intel, all our team used to be distributed all across the world. So we used to anyway work in a virtual environment. And post the lockdown, that has just become 100x. And when I joined Intel, one of my biggest challenge was to work in a virtual environment because I was coming from a very traditional organization where coming to 9:30 at the office was very important. And then we would enter a meeting and then we would be told and the boss will tell us and we'll have a coffee together. And when I joined Intel, I was like completely out. 6 months, it took me 6 months, and this was my third job. I was 3 years experience after my MBA. It took me a long time, no, not 6 years after my MBA, but it took me a long time to adjust in that kind of an environment. So think about it. If you want to really tap into the freelancing movement, what will that be? You can open up your own venture on the cloud. Multiple stream of income is going to be more important than one just job. And people are already saying that because with all the unpredictability in hiring and firing, people always think of, I wish I had an alternate income. And the traditional mindset is a rental income. Maybe I open up a restaurant. This a term called moonlighting that, as long as I'm doing business outside my office hours, which is not competing with my main business, you can do that. Like Intel, if I had to open up a restaurant, I can do that because restaurant timings, it's not interfering, it's not competing with Intel. So we were allowed to do, they said, moonlighting projects. But it's going to even become more relevant because a lot of these cloud kitchen services are now coming in, for example. Digital marketing as an agency, as a service, is huge. Today, ad agencies are wondering how to renovate themselves. So if you're thinking of working for an ad agency, which at one point of time used to be one of my biggest things because I used to love advertising and branding in my MBA, I used to fancy. But today, advertising agencies are at risk. Can you create your own digital marketing agency on the cloud? If you're creative, using ChatGPT on the generative AI tools that are available. So freelancing is big. You already see that. The rise of the vloggers, the rise of digital marketing content creators. It's already happening big time. Coding, like a lot of freelancing platform for coders today. So even if I want to get a website made, I can go to freelancing.com and get that done. Wipro acquired about 3-4 years back an organization which was on the cloud, freelancers, coders. So there's a lot of shift happening in the workforce and the way recruitment is happening. So if you want to be on the payrolls of a large organization, you need to make sure that you have those skills that get you out there. Look at the size of the gig economy. It's huge. There's a saying that 50% of the US will be gig workers in the next few years. So these are the trends that you need to watch out for as you plan your careers, as you plan your projects, as you plan your competency and your skills map. The metaverse, the big topic, and metaverse became real to me when I saw this tableau at the Republic Day parade that happened 2 years back. Republic Day is coming in a month's time. But the Ministry of Education put this tableau out and I was like, wow, okay. Metaverse is coming for sure. Facebook changed their name from Facebook to Meta. It's Meta Platforms. Microsoft is making that shift. A lot of lifestyle brands are already on the metaverse. So those of you who are fond of those boys and girls who are fond of designer brands, they are all on the metaverse today. Louis Vuitton digital asset is more expensive, and I was told that when I met somebody from Louis Vuitton recently, that there's a digital bag which is more expensive than the regular bag. So you're talking about digital twins also carrying bags. Nike is offering digital shoes which are expensive. They are not cheap. They are not free. So as my digital twin interacts in the metaverse, what shoes am I wearing? I need a good shoe. And that shoe you're going to buy. So as we conduct ourselves in the gig economy, in the 3D internet, and that wave is already started. So some of you who want to follow, go to Roblox. It's a platform where all big designer brands have opened up their stores. Roblox. And I met one of the founders of Roblox, and we were talking about how they really are monetizing on this thing. A lot of these lifestyle brands are already there. Nike, Reebok, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. Do you know, name all these big brands that we talk about? It's already happening. So metaverse is coming for sure. How do you prepare for the metaverse is something that you may like to think about. Let's look at some of the applications. People are getting already married in the metaverse. So that's a picture I saw during the lockdown. There's a marriage of these two young people in Chennai happened on the metaverse because they could not invite their family. So there's a marriage already happening there. There's a digital land that is getting sold already on the metaverse because people want to build up their, on a platform like Roblox. If you want to set up a store on Roblox, there's a rental that you have to give. Is there a question? So what you're talking about, you want to repeat the question for others? Or I think everybody got it? Yeah.
Sir, there's a concept called as avatar.
What's your name? Introduce yourself.
Mukund.
Mukund, what do you do? Which major, what?
My major specialization is finance.
Okay, nice.
So I just know the concept of metaverse a bit, and the concept which includes avatar. So I've seen the market of avatar, like it goes in dollars, millions of dollars. Just behind that, they buy it online too. It's not even physical.
Yeah.
So what's the reason behind that?
So avatar is nothing but a digital twin. So it's my replica. So today what is happening is let's take a game. Name a game, a 3D game that you might be introduced to.
GTA.
Right. You can buy skins. You can buy dresses, avatars. So basically, you conduct yourself, and your digital profile DPs are also now avatars. So if you look at avatars, that's kind of giving you a kind of a hint of what is coming, and what is coming is the digital twin. So here I'm like looking like a warrior. I'm an avatar. I have an avatar, and I'm playing a game, right, in GTA. Now imagine the same avatar now goes to a meeting. You can't do an avatar in the same avatar with all the swords going into the meeting. You will have your own avatar. So a digital twin is the bigger one, and what we see today is the rise of the avatars, the rise of digital skins, all the stuff, and rise of digital currency that is happening because this is the trend that is going forward. For gaming, you might have a different digital twin. For corporate, you might have a very different digital twin. But you are buying skins for your avatar, you're going to be buying shoes for yourself, a tie, a blazer. That's same thing is going to be happening because now your avatar would be conducting meetings or maybe an interview that you might be giving in a year's time.
So one more question about the blockchain metaverse. There was a research paper like 2-3 years back showing that the land will be sold through blockchains and all. The technology of the blockchain via avatars and via the virtual reality. There's a manipulation concept in that too. Like the good coders or the good technology people will have the upper hand in this.
So, see, if you ask, there are a lot of issues that need to be tackled. We are not ready yet. And that's, one of the biggest thing is data privacy. One of the biggest thing is how do you conduct yourself on the metaverse. There's already cases of, a avatar or a digital twin getting harassed on the metaverse. Did you read about that? Harassment is happening on the metaverse. So it is going to happen. What definitely will make you out there is if you can work on metaverse technologies to make yourself out there. So if you're an engineering student, if you know AR, VR, if you're trained on animation, video gaming, comic, cartoons, AVGC sector, right, which says animation, video gaming, video games and cartoons, right? So if you look at it, developers who know that game, they'll be obviously in front. So even if I'm an engineering student, if I'm saying I'm learning coding, I'll say, okay, learn all those new developer tools and skill sets that exist today. So for example, I know Meta Spark, a tool that Meta has, helps developers use the developer tool to get into the metaverse. So of course, use of those tools are important. But similarly, for management student, use of digital marketing tools are very important. And I'm going to be talking about it. But the moment you know how to use these tools with your management skills, that makes like a killer combination. Did I answer your question?
Sir, one doubt more. So, as per the rules and regulations, we see that the people who has more knowledge about these things. My question is directly targeted to the thing that this can be manipulative or not. Because if this effects are more, so it will actually have manipulation in the economy too.
Yeah, it's a big threat.
Yeah, it's a big threat.
Yeah, it's a big threat.
Because if we see the numbers that is displayed in the PPTs, it can create a havoc if it goes in the wrong direction or it goes in the wrong hands of management.
So even if you look at AI, Elon Musk saying we need to stop the growth of AI till we get few checks and balances in place is because you don't want to create a havoc. So technology, of course, has a negative. When internet came in, and I was, trying to figure out what is internet. Internet has its own negatives, but internet became real. Similarly, metaverse is the new internet. So in fact, I wrote an opinion article on we need to create a constitution for the metaverse. Which means how do you conduct, what are the IT policies that we need to have in place, what are the data privacy security that we need to have in place, and We need all those things. So we are not ready for the metaverse yet, but does not mean we're not going to be ready, because a lot of these policy changes, if you're following what Ministry of IT is doing, they just came up with a new act for data privacy and data security, looking at what is happening. So you need guidelines, you need checks and balances, but technology could be used as a force for good and a force for bad if used bad, in a negative way. So we need to watch out for that for sure. One of my favorite is this gymming thing. A lot of people are doing gymming in the metaverse. A lot of people are playing golf in the metaverse. One of my friends in New York says, I'm going golfing, and he doesn't step out of his home because he wears his VR headset and he's golfing with a buddy in a golf court. So that's happening. When I was in Meta's office a year back, they showed me a fantastic demo where I wore a headset and I entered a classroom in Ladakh. Like, I could see how lane Ladakh could be. I was like turning, and I could experience people. I could experience everything like as if I'm in Ladakh. Then there's a great experiment that they had, was that I entered a classroom, a primary school classroom, and I could see an Indian teacher teaching children. And I had a bubble. I could not step out of that bubble. That means that if I want to, harass somebody or conduct myself inappropriately, I could not do that because there was a shield inside. I was inside a shield. But I was inside a classroom. Now imagine India, which is grappling with education. We're talking about rural India where education is not accessible. We're talking about science and science experiments where there are no labs. We're talking about India rising in the STEM economy. At the same time, we are still struggling with infrastructure issues and even toilets in schools. Imagine what if metaverse or technology as a force for good is used. We can have the same education reaching even the rural parts of India. Imagine if that can happen. The same access that you have here to some of the tools, some of the faculty, if they could be made available to anybody, that is going to be huge. A lot of universities, by the way, are launching their metaverse campus. So a Jain university could be doing 100x enrollments and offering their education and teachers to a wider audience using that. Imagine what benefit that could serve society. So there are various use cases of technology and the metaverse that are going to come up. And if you are a business management student, if you're a marketing student, if you're a finance student, how will you conduct yourself there? What tools you need to be successful there? So, important thing, and my first point that I want to drive here is, if I have to say what you need to do now, all this could be very overwhelming, very science fiction kinds, and let it happen at its own time. Sometimes when you launch a technology, it could be very like, oh, that looks like Star Wars. It looks like Avengers. It looks like, what is happening? Are we like hitting doomsday? What is going to happen? But slowly and steady, it will happen. If in the 1950s you had talked about the internet and people are going to be emailing, people are going to be talking, a person in the 1950s would have said, what are you talking? We are in the same stage in a way. So technology will simplify and opportunities will emerge. I just want you all to be ready for it and giving you a little precursor in this little time that I have so that you're prepared for it. And my first point out of the 3 points that I want to talk about is, boys and girls, please manage your digital footprint. What are you talking on the internet? What are you doing on Instagram? What are you going on doing and talking on Twitter? It's all getting monitored. The organizations that are hiring today, I hire people not on their CV, I just do a search on them. And that is very important. You are leaving a digital footprint behind. And I know a student who did something in his 8th grade and landed up for a college, in college and then in a job. That person didn't get hired because he did something in his 8th grade which was not okay. So please manage your digital footprint. because ethics is very important. How you conduct yourself is very important. We're talking about a new era called digital citizenship. The most important thing, as you're talking about all this technology as a force for bad, we're talking about first people before recruiting. I want to make sure I'm recruiting the right talent. And if you are doing something that is not appropriate, you could get away during my time, but not now. This internet is everywhere, your digital footprint is everywhere, and it's very easy. And I know there are background checks, there are professional agencies. Even if you can't find on the normal Google, there are professional agencies that do a background check on you, especially for large companies. Multinational corporations don't want to get into a situation where they found out something, and that's what is happening. Today, if you look at it, once a politician gets elected, there are footages from the past that gets played. Oh, this guy talks about it, and now he's changing colors and talking about this. It's very easy today. AI is there. I can train a bot to find out stuff about you. So leave a good digital footprint behind. It's very important. Like when I was in school, there was moral science class for me. How to conduct, how to talk to girls, how to behave with elders, right? It's important. Same thing is now on the internet. The new moral science class would be how to conduct yourself on the internet. So citizenship is very important. There are people who conduct themselves so well outside, but the moment they go, they hide behind an avatar, and that's where havoc starts. Today, your IP get traced. Where you're logging in from, it is a huge amount of traceability. Huge amount. It's scary. At the same time, please watch out that your careers are now dependent on it. I'm already using this to recruit people in my organization. If I take people to the UN, I do a thorough background check because I don't want somebody standing at the UN and passing on hate comments suddenly because I've given them the opportunity, and now there's person standing inside the UN talking to senior leaders, and he or she talks about something that is inappropriate, or about religion, we talk about global citizenship. We stay away from religion, political parties, and affiliation. We just say this is the talent of India that you need to look at. So that talent of India, if I'm presenting at the United Nations, I need to watch out for who am I bringing in, because if this person talks about something inappropriate, like I need to make sure that at least I've done the background checks. So there's new form of background checks that are happening using AI. And boys and girls, watch out for it. What you're doing on the internet is very important. It might be a side activity, it might be something that de-stresses you, but it can get mapped to who did it. So watch out for your digital footprint, and a good way to conduct yourself is just be good. The way you would conduct yourself in a regular world, in this meeting, in this panel with your teachers, with your principal, do the same online. Don't think this is an avenue for me to, do something else. No. Conduct yourself appropriately on the internet. And I can't stress on this more. If I can conduct a full session on this, but please manage your digital footprint. You might be super talented, but this can be, really bad. The HR background checks and all those things could be really bad. So think about that. And I would rather use this for good. If I have a great digital footprint, if people are talking about me, if I'm getting covered in the newspapers, if I've got an award, now that really bumps up your profile. Imagine. There are so many interviews that are happening that are out of the CV. You don't even mention that, and somebody say, I talk, hey, I saw your video. That was very cool. Your panel that you did in your college, I really liked it. And the student might say, wow, did you watch it? Yes, yeah, I watched it. It is not on your CV, but I did. Because I want to see how you conduct yourself in a public gathering. So there are multiple ways. You are out there. Face recognition technology is also out there. Manage your footprint. Okay? And use it for good. Let's look at the second one. Some of you might like it. Add digital skills to your degrees. Add them. These are skills management students, I believe, really need to have. Social media is so important. It's very important because organizations want employees to talk on social media. There are organizations that are saying, please talk good about us if we are doing good. Share about the employee award that you're getting. Please talk about it because perceptions are getting formed using social media. Video editing, a big skill, big monetizing skill today. Those of you in marketing, if you have the video editing skill, you can manage the agencies, you can do storyboarding. That is what marketers need today. Those of you who are thinking of start a digital marketing company, you're going to make a lot of money because that skill is not available in a lot of companies and a lot of agencies don't have those skill sets. I know Intel and a lot of agencies, they're struggling with having this new age people who can tell the same stories in a new style, not the same boring documentary style. With new background music, BGMs, I mean, there's a new way that people and brands want to get positioned because all of them want to recruit you. So if you look at it from an employer standpoint, they want to be talked about, want to be visible out there because they want to attract good talent. So video editing for your marketing, anything that you need, any product you are selling, your brand is very important. Creative storytelling, story writing, digital media production, graphics, visual communication, very, very important. If I were to say right now, things that you do, you can, how many of you know, by the way, video editing? So cool. Yeah, so many of you already know it. See, you're right there. Use your degree and the video editing skill and create in a year's time a video CV about yourself. That is going to get you the job, not the paper CV. Talk about your journey. Talk about your experiences. Put your YouTube channel out about yourself, what you are doing in school. You know, your journey could be mapped today and you could be talking about all the fantastic stuff I've done in my college using your video editing skill, and that can lead you to a fantastic job. I mentor a lot of students who also apply to big universities. This has been one of the differentiators in students getting top universities like even Harvard. They use all these techniques to stand out from the crowd. So think about how you're going to use these skills and marry it with your degree. Okay? So think about that. The last one is my favorite, and this could be deep, but you need to think about this, as you go home today, probably in the next 6 months, but do think about this last one that I'm going to talk about because it's a big differentiator. It's the other side of the coin, which if digital footprint was one side of the coin, I'm talking about the other side of the coin. And that is digital activism. What causes you care about is important. When people are recruiting, they just don't want a good MBA degree student. They want an MBA degree student who cares for the environment or who is fighting for equality for women and girls. I work closely with one of the leaders of Microsoft. And she only posts about, in her LinkedIn, all the work she does on a Saturday, Sunday, getting girls access to education. She doesn't talk about her work at all. So your purpose CV is very important. As organizations are recruiting, and by the way, as students are also evaluating who to work for, I was in Ernst & Young in one of their offices, and I entered the office and there was new employee orientation, and they were talking about planting trees and taking care of the environment. I said, wow, that's lovely. I said, why do you do it? Of course, they said, we really do this job, but now that board of planting trees was right at the reception. And I said, why do you do this? He said, if we don't do this, people don't work for us. How many of you know this brand called Abercrombie Fitch? AF. It's a nice brand. I was wearing a t-shirt one day of the same brand. I was conducting a workshop in the US. It's a New York brand. And one of the students come to me and say, sir, you should not be wearing that. I said, okay, why? He said, no, they don't make t-shirts for oversized men and women. And it's not okay. And this boy was fit. He was hitting the gym, very fit, very organized. But he was not okay to buy that because they don't care about people with different sizes. And that is happening. Brands are going out of market because they don't care about the planet. I'll tell you a designer brand. I won't name that designer brand. But once I invited that designer brand because I knew the CEO very well. I invited her to talk at the UN panel and she didn't accept my invite. And I said, well, UN panel is pretty big. Don't you think it's worth your time? He said, no, Manav, a lot of questions might come in because we have been in controversy for child labor. And if a question comes in that what are you doing in Vietnam or Bangladesh because we heard that you're employing children, because many people now don't want to buy that brand because that brand, though one of the fanciest brand, it might go out of market because they are not following ethical practices. So that's happening in consumer choices. That's happening in branding. Intel is doing a lot of stuff. Google is doing a lot of stuff. There's corporate social responsibility. And this whole thing called greenwashing, right? A lot of people are showing I'm care for the environment, but there's all PR sometimes. But if you look at it, why is that happening? Because people want to buy products, people want to engage with brands who are ethical, who care about it. We treat people with equality. Integrity is a big center element as people buy products. I have decided a few products I'm not going to buy because I know the inside story now, and I'm not going to buy that. I don't know what impact it'll have. Probably, I'm like a small drop in the ocean, but no, let it be a drop. Likewise, flip that narrative and look at yourself as a brand. What do you really care about? And I know all of you care about something, If you think you don't care about it, believe me, you care about it, something. Something that disturbs you, don't make this artificial because that could be as bad as greenwashing because authenticity is important. But if you care about girls getting good access to education, if you care about farmer suicide, if you care about life underwater, if you care about music for change, start talking about it on your LinkedIn, on your Twitter, on your social media. Because that purpose CV that you will build will get you there. It's just not your skills, it's just not your degrees, but what you care about as a brand. So think about yourself as a brand. You're not just anybody in the workforce. You're not an employee number that you would be. No, you are your name. You're not the card that you would be handed over tomorrow working in a large company. You walk there in the large company as a brand, a person who wants to save the oceans, a person who wants to get equality to people in the classrooms, a person who cares about rural India. And by the way, this is like our CFO. That is going to be real. Our CFO who cares about the ocean. And it's going to be flipping very soon. People are going to be asking you, can you give me your purpose profile, purpose CV first? And by the way, what do you do in life? Oh, I'm a CFO in this organization. People are not going to get overwhelmed with the designations and the CEOs and the money you're going to be earning and the cars you have. Of course, those things are very important. I'm not saying not. Please go after all those luxuries in life. But make sure you're balancing it with having a purpose profile. And again, if I were to leave this, please work on that because this is something that I really work on as I implement AI, as I implement metaverse. Use that skill to create, a force for good. So those are three things I want to leave you with. And to conclude, I say this all the time. A degree gets you in the line, but a skill gets you in the door. Right. That's what I want to leave you. Think about it and have a great career and a great life. And I hope we could be in touch. That's my email ID in case you want. Happy to be in touch with you. If you want some mentoring advice, I'm around. I can talk about it. But I know this is a lot of busy time for you, but please take this as something that is coming from a person who's been working in the industry for close to 23 years, both as a corporate employee and as an entrepreneur, and working also on public policy side. So happy to share this experience. Hope this is useful. Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry, I didn't ask. Open for questions.
Yeah, we'll take a couple of questions. We'll first have a couple of questions from the students and then we'll move to the faculty. Please state your name.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Avishikta. My question is like, how has Viksit Bharat built resilience into its economic system, particularly in response to unforeseen crises and disruptions?
That's another lecture. But thank you for the question. I don't want to answer it in a very complicated way, but if you look at it, you are the new India. Youth is the new India. We're going to be like 50% of our workforce is going to be young people like you. So it's important to focus on you. Young people as a force for change, young people that takes India forward as we go for 2047, 100 years of independence, young people who are not just consuming but creating. And creating India not as a back office of the world, but as the front office of the world. We're going to be solving problems for the world. The problems that affect India affects the rest of the world. We already see that happening, and it's led by all of you, young people. So as you enter the workforce, you're going to be driving this. Some of you might take a corporate detour, enter politics. Who knows what happens? You might be working with senior bureaucrats. Who knows what happens? So your degree is a start, but the brand is you. Like I am like, I did MBA and then I drifted towards the social sector, worked with Chandrababu Naidu because I don't have a degree to work with Chandrababu Naidu when he was in power. I ended up working with him because I loved what he was doing at that point of time for the rural India. So you might have a corporate trajectory, an MBA trajectory, but don't get trapped in that because that's not how life unfolds. Your degrees get you a start, and of course education is big, but asking the question on Amrit Bharat, the focus is on you as India heads towards 100 years of independence.
So I have a question. I'm Ashil. How does Viksit Bharat envision its economic landscape in 2047, and what comprehensive strategic initiatives are being implemented to ensure that this vision fosters inclusive economic growth, reaching all segments of society and effectively reducing economic disparities?
So great question. I don't think I'm qualified to answer that. I can give you my view to it, but if you talk to some like senior administrators, IS officers, ministers who are handling this, I'm a part of it. I'm participating. I'm not leading it. I'm more as an entrepreneur, as a leader, corporate leader. I'm participating in it as a faculty instructor to contribute in this agenda. And that's why I'm here, but I'm not the force behind it. I'm not the person who conceptualized this, or I'm not the government official that you should be talking to. But one of the most important thing is skilling. So as I work with AICT, who nominated me for this program with you, I'm working a lot with AICT to make the education relevant for the industry, to bridge that gap, to make sure that students are skilled and not wait for the curriculum to be changed, but because some of these forces are like happening, some of these changes are rapidly happening. So if we were to prepare you for the industry that you're entering, what do we need to do is what I am part of. And I think a big part of this agenda is workforce development and making sure that we can bridge the gap that exists today, because even the top universities, right? I mean, I used to work, the workplace skills are not there in the universities. And if those skills can come to you, and I think this initiative that I'm part of today in your university is like a fantastic thing, that if you can get workplace experiences, because those things are important. If you get to know how to transition to a workplace, the college to work transition is huge. And that cannot happen till people from the industry work with academia. Academicians are doing a fantastic job. Industry people are doing a fantastic job. But can they do it together? Is what this agenda is all about in a very small way. I'm sure there are many parts to it. But that's my view to it.
One last question.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, can you give us some insights on the major infrastructure projects underway to support the economic growth and transformation for the Viksit Bharat by 2047?
See, a big part of that is the IT infrastructure, I know. So as we are building bridges and metros and infrastructure development is happening, which is physical infrastructure, something that we have as a big advantage as a country is the IT infrastructure. So riding on an information highway, 5G internet, AI, because we're going to be like, India wants to be a leader in AI. And I think we'll easily be a leader in AI. Business analytics. So if you look at it from management student perspective, analytics is a big skill. Business analytics is a data crunching, data analysis, statistics is a big skill. But if you look at how do you predict the future, how do you anticipate stock market reaction, if you can devise technology and if you have people who are working for these technologies, I think that's big. So IT infrastructure, according to me, is a big one. That we can, I call this work on your strategic advantages. Or your unfair advantages sometimes. The very fact that we have this unfair advantage that we are such a big population is also a big advantage now because we are consumers. People are looking at India as a big marketing force. People like big MNCs want to all sell in India because we are the consumer. Rising middle class is a big advantage that we have. So we have to ride on our strategic advantage and flip our disadvantages into strategic advantages. And I think that's what we are doing. The very fact that we have young people like you who are going to be controlling the workforce. We want leaders coming from India who are CEOs, and already that is happening. So imagine when all the big tech companies have Indian CEOs or CEOs of Indian origin, and that's going to even change where Indian CEOs like you are going to take over. So as we unfold this agenda, which is multifold, but from my perspective, youth is a force in this agenda. And IT infrastructure is a big one, something that the digital skills that you can utilize, both from a tech perspective for coders and from a business perspective for students in HR, business, marketing. You can use that. So digital is a big one for me.
Okay, one last question for the faculty.
Good afternoon, this is Dr. Hemant here. My question is slightly different and I just need a minute to explain that. Too much of technology interference has already diluted the relationships. And the way forward is looking more threatening. How much you give importance, you were telling about digital footprints and many other things. But there is a whole reality world. But this meta is taking people towards a virtual world where the real world is completely missing. What could be the suggestion for the people, the youngsters, how do they also be grounded with their reality? Because virtual, everything goes in, but today hardly people have 5,000 people in Facebook, there is no one good friend. And that's going to be more worst in this particular ecosystem. And we talking about being, green environment in a digital footprint and not bothering about in reality. There is a lot of divergence. And one more point which I want to tell you is, see, most of these things are Western driven, where their populations are 8 crores, 7 crores, 6 crores. They do not have a workforce, so they encourage many other alternative sources. But we are a 1.4 billion people. With this type of diversity, our whole ecosystem of family, structure, workforce is totally different. Are we not trying to take up something? Are we not being another way of, workforce to them in a different way and trying to pay a premium for something what they are going to offer for? And are we not getting moved towards that? I think it's a bigger question. Hope you understood.
Yeah.
What should be the students' grounding factors that they should take away from it? Thank you.
Fantastic question, Dr. Hemant. In fact, that's a big one. Fantastic question. So, my response to, so first a few things. One is Meta and Metaverse is totally different. Meta is an organization that renamed itself, but Metaverse it belongs to everybody. Metaverse is not any one organization. Metaverse belongs as much to you as it belongs to any large organization. It's like saying I own the internet. Nobody owns the internet. It's people own the internet and everybody is contributing to the internet. So one, Meta is not, it's not a business objective, because Metaverse is the new internet. The word for Web 3.0 is Metaverse. A word for 3D internet is the Metaverse. So Meta and Metaverse are completely different. And a lot of organizations are building on the Metaverse. Like when internet came in, say in the 1980s, 1990s, when it came in, Hotmail was made as the first, like at least I started using Hotmail by Viksit Bharat. But then Yahoo email came, and then US email came, and then Gmail came. But everybody started working on that, and communication became a tool, and internet email became as a tool for making something more efficient. And of course, there were drawbacks on the internet, because now you won't let your children go onto the internet because there's a lot of other stuff on the internet that you don't want your children to see. So that happened, and I know my parents saying, internet, okay, they were little, okay, what are you doing on the internet? And it still happens. Still, I know many schools that don't allow internet. Many parents still don't allow WhatsApp, because all this is happening today anyway. And we need to watch out for that. So important thing is, this time, as the new internet is coming, we have this opportunity to create new internet from India. So when the internet came in, we were consumers of the internet. Here is Gmail, here is this, use it. There was no cultural sensitivity built in there. There was no language issues built in there. Everybody had to be in English. Everybody had to follow the Western culture, because we were handed over the internet technologies. But if I look at things now, as the evolution is happening of the new internet, which is the metaverse, so the next pivotal point for the internet is the 3D internet, which is called the metaverse, which is the new virtual world we are talking about. I think it's important that we build it as creators. So if I build education materials now, which has sensitivity to Indian history, to Indian religion, to Indian background, I have a big opportunity that I talk about. And that is something that my organization is leading. So as we are doing the metaverse for education, so we are partnering with AICT and CBSE. A big element of it is ethics, cultural values, and all our background. So as we develop the new history chapters or new geography chapters, we are talking about how those things can happen in an Indian setting. And you're not learning geography in a foreign setting. You're learning geography by going to Leh Ladakh, and I can have immersive education. I can experience the Ganga, I can experience the Indus Valley civilization. History has a big element, and in fact, I see if this used good, a lot of young people would be more aware of where we are coming from, because today history is being taught in a particular way, which is called disinteresting. So I see also there's an opportunity. Now, how we leverage that opportunity, we can say, no, I'm not going to be part of it. That's fine. And a lot of people do that, and you could not participate in it. A lot of people I know don't even have social media accounts today. Many people are not active, and they don't want to be active. I know a professor from ISU who doesn't even use WhatsApp. No, I don't want to be I don't want to be a slave to all this technology. That's a choice you can make. However, if we teach students on how to use this responsibly as Indians, as global Indians, then I think we have an opportunity to be a leader for the rest of the world. And this time, as this new internet unfolds, we can make technologies, we can do our own thing, and not inherit, because otherwise somebody is going to build that for us and we're going to be consuming it. So I am worried about it, sir, by the way, as well. But at least I'm participating in the building of it so that I can add my element. I'm a very strong Indian. I value my culture, my ethics, and my background. My mother was a Hindi teacher. So I know, I struggle that with my children today. because my son is studying in UT Austin. I said, you know what India is? Like, I want him to make sure he stays grounded as he takes on this education. He's also very grounded in Indian values because that differentiates us in a number of ways. So here is an opportunity as well as a threat, of course, like any good thing that happens in the world. How we use it is up to us. If we wait and watch, we're going to be told how to use it. If we participate right now, we can probably shape the future of it. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Manav, for your valuable time, and I'm sure that your message and the content of what you spoke pierce both the heart, mind, and soul, so that most of us who would move to the new normal would also be prepared with the requisite ethics and integrity to deal with it fully and completely. On behalf of the Chancellor of the Jain deemed to be University, our Director, and all of us here from the CMS Business School, we thank you very much for your time, and as a token of our appreciation, kindly accept a small memento from the Jain deemed to be University. Thank you, and we'll break for lunch.